Hi everyone, welcome to the studio this Friday. It's a beautiful day here in Portland. We have a kind of a fun program planned for today, starting with some donuts. We have
a bit of an echo, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we got a bit of an echo.
Oh, okay. We're gonna first.
You don't have an echo over there?
No, you sound good.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe you have more than one window.
Well, it looks like we do have a bit of an echo.
Okay. Okay. We'll work on fixing the audio, but I'm just going to keep rolling along and let people kind of come on board here, because sometimes we get a few more people as we get started here. So we have Voodoo Donuts here in Portland area, and they make some really, really crazy fun donuts, but I guess I didn't pick the funnest donuts today, but I did pick the ones that I thought were pretty and kind of iconic donuts. So I'm just going to go ahead and we'll start out by serving up some donuts to our crew here, and then we'll get started painting. I think they're really pretty, but yeah, Voodoo Donuts makes like kind of really super crazy ones that, you know, some of them have bacon bars and bacon on them, maple and bacons, but I'm going to just go ahead and cut up a couple of these and see if you guys want a little bit of donuts.
Really quick, Marla, I'll just ask the folks, yeah. Does anyone else have an echo, or are we all good?
Yeah, could you chime in and let us know how our sound is coming? So I'm just going to cut up a couple donuts. Hope maybe you guys at home have your favorite pastries and coffee or whatnot. Do you guys want M&Ms or what do you want? We're checking on the audio while we're getting this all going.
Hey, we're good. I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Good. Art and donuts. Well, you know, we can take a lesson from Wayne Thiebaud. They're beautiful and they're really fun to look at and paint. So, okay, so I think that'll get us going. That'll keep us in. Going to keep us in some calories for a little bit too. All right.
Well, let's just pause for 1 second then.
So we're going to take a pause really quick.
We're going to pause the stream. Oh, come on. All right. All right, but we are celebrating today a little bit. So my Adventures in Acrylic workshop it's really been really fun to see people digging in already. Amazing. It just makes me feel so happy when I see people really getting a lot out of the workshops and really spending a ton of time at their easels and painting. It really does my heart a lot of good. And this workshop really is all about that extraordinary joy of being an artist and having the skills to meet your ideas. And that's, you know, my focus as an instructor is passing on the skills that, you know, I think that you need and that I have so that you can paint anything that you want. And so this workshop, we really went through just a bunch of techniques. I think there are 14 techniques that we videotaped. Of course, there's lots more, and you can mix and match them to create anything that you want. So that was my big goal for this workshop, and I think that we did a pretty good job because I see students fast at work using those techniques. So we painted flowers and leaves and faces and even a kitten. And what's not to love about that? So there were over 14 hours of video. There's a 70-page study guide. There's a Facebook group associated with it if that's your thing. So we really took the gloves off to paint a whole bunch of stuff on this one. And I think acrylics can be kind of troublesome to beginners but there's so much about them that is so amazing. They're so permanent. They dry fast, so that you can layer and use a lot of techniques kind of in the same sitting. But because of those same characteristics, they can be kind of tricky. And the blending, I think, is one of the things that really trips people up. How much paint to use, how much water to use, getting the viscosity right. I think that's one of the big keys with acrylic. So we go really in depth with that in this workshop. So I hope you check it out and head over to paintinglessonswithmarla.com and check out the new workshop. It's on sale right now for $110. That's $39 off right now, and that's only until Sunday evening. So jump on that if that's something you're interested in. And of course, members of Monthly Pastel Painting Lessons online get an extra $15 off all of our workshops. So you can, if you're a pastelist but you're kind of curious about acrylics, now's the time, because I think that this workshop is a really great one to start with. There's also seasons in acrylic there too. Both, I think, are really good entrees into the world of acrylics. And we did release a new bonus lesson, the minis, for the acrylic workshop. And so that's when I painted one of these little guys, and they're so fun to do. I did have a question about where to get these little panels the other day, and these are I got these from Dick Blick, and they are made by Ampersand, but they're encaustic panels, and they're really not that much different than the other ones. They just kind of brand them for encaustic, but they come in a little pack. I think that it's a 4 or 5 pack, which is really cool. And I just love doing these little ones. They let you paint. You can paint anything you want, obviously, but for me, they're not that precious. You don't invest that much time in them, so there's something really liberating about working small like this that I just so enjoy. And I had said this, I think, on the last live stream, that doing these small pieces, it kind of relieves my anxiety as a painter. I think about, okay, I've only got so many years left to paint, and there's so many subjects that I would like to tackle and dig into. Maybe I just want to try something out and see how I feel about it. And these little paintings really are a great way of doing that. All right, so let me show a couple other things that we did during the workshop, and then we'll get right into today's lesson. I want to show you today how I set up the palette. One of the ways, because there's several ways that I actually set up my palette, kind of different variations. We painted this kind of really fun, bold portrait, a little landscape, the mushrooms, getting into some detail, kind of getting an oil-like look for this one. And what else? Oh yeah, we did these kind of fun. This one is, to me, is an example of using acrylic in a kind of more decorative way. Added some mixed media, added this little gel pen line, which is really fun. Things like this, I think, are really good starting places because they're, it's not as rendered, perhaps. It doesn't feel quite as intimidating, but you're still learning a lot, again, learning about how to mix the paint, the viscosity of the paint, what it feels like to put it down, just working with the edges and so on. So I think that that's really cool and important. And then we also kind of went into a little bit more glazing techniques with the pears, so kind of emulating more of an oil look. And then the avocados here, much more alla prima, using thicker application of paint, and just getting a little bit more of the kind of realism. So I like this project too. Playing with the color in the background, playing with these edges, how to get these softer edges in acrylic. So we want to be able to do that. Okay, so that is what is going on with Adventures in Acrylic. Love it. Now, I want to talk today a little bit about what I'm going to paint and how I'm going to paint it. So I'm going to do the donuts. I'm going to start them, see how far we get. I did a little version, for the preparation for the acrylic workshop. So I'm going to put this out right next to me because, I've already kind of solved some of the problems here, and I want to remind myself of how I did that. So why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I put that out and go, okay, look at that. Now, in terms of the panel that I'm going to use today, I'm going to use this one because I thought I was going to do a square, but this reference photo kind of lends itself to this more horizontal format. So I am going to use this one. I like to use this is a canvas panel that I've put some texture on with phthalo blue acrylic. And this one, same thing. This is just a canvas panel. I like using these too. The thing about these Ampersand, the gesso boards, the paint tends to sort of slide around on them in a little bit different way that I happen to enjoy. So you kind of have to find what it is that you like. So this is another one of these gesso boards that I've toned. And it was starting doing something. This one too, just that I've just toned with the phthalo blue. Okay, so today I'm just going to start on this one. So let's put these aside here. Now with acrylic, there's a couple of things. You need to keep the paint moist. So how do you do it? There's a lot of different ways. You can buy the Stay Wet type palette, and there's a couple different brands that you can get. Now, what I've got here is just an enamel tray that I had from way back when, art school days, and this is one of the inserts that you get with those Stay Wet palettes that is really soaked. So when I soaked it, I took a bunch of water, a lot of water to get it wet. So it's really, really damp. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of water in there. Now the thing that I like to do, so those Stay Wet palettes, they come with paper. Well, it's actually kind of like a vellum insert that you put on top here. Now, I like to do my own version because I modify it. So here's my paper, but I'm going to cut it like so. And I'm going to show you why in a minute. I want to put it down in the center. And I'm going to get it. You could also use, if you'd rather not see that yellow, which is a little annoying, you can use palette paper, gray palette paper, and get this. Now you see how that this vellum is rolling up there? That's no good. You don't want that. So what I do is I take, this is these little half sheets of paper towel are great. So I fold this up and put it here, and I'm going to put that right on that edge so that kind of holds that down, keeps it from rolling up. And I'm going to put one on each side. Oops. And again, this is just one method of doing this. You kind of got to find what works for you. But this works for me because what can happen now, I'm going to put my paints along here. But when I've mixed up a bunch of colors and I've kind of used up all this space, I can lift my paint up. You got to do it carefully, you'll see. And I can replace this. And then I can go again and preserve the paint. Okay, so that's really, really good. Now, paint storage. Okay, you can just use the tubes of paint, and that's fine. But I also paint large-scale paintings, and you guys might have seen me using my glass palette here. And so I want to be able to dip into some pots of paint and get the paint going really quick. So one way of doing that is just to have jars and just open the lids of the jars and dip your brush right in there and go at it on the glass palette. But another method is using the bead box. So here is my bead box. And this is kind of amazing. You wouldn't think, but this paint will last a really long time. So again, a little piece of paper towel. I usually have this squirted like that, and then I put the lid on, and then I put this whole thing with the lid on. I store this in my refrigerator. And storing it in the refrigerator just keeps it a little bit more, I think the humidity and everything, it just keeps it a little more moist. Now, once I've got that, I can, let's see, where did I put, oh boy, did I leave those? Maybe I did. Oh, here it is, I got it. So these are popsicle sticks, obviously. And now I can set up my palette, and I'm just gonna dip in here, and I'm gonna set this guy up, and get ready for painting. And I'm gonna go ahead and set myself up with a pretty full bore palette today, just because there's a lot of different colors in these guys. And I'm gonna go, yeah, I'm just gonna go for it and get lots of colors.
Just really quick, Marla, those were Ampersand panels, right?
Yes.
And they're sold at the art store. They're made for encaustic, but you can use them for acrylic.
Yeah, you can. It says encaustic, but you know, they're yeah.
Ampersand.
Yeah, they're Ampersand Gessobord. I think Gessobord is a name. You know, it's not it's the name of their product.
And that's a bead box for
This is a bead box. This is something that you can get at Michael's. This is probably the only thing I buy at every now and then I'll go, you know, if I need like a standard thing of paint, but I don't buy the panels at Michael's, the canvas. It's not, I hate to say it, but it's not that great. Those aren't not that great. They really either soak the paint in too much, or the paint just kind of slides around on the surface in a not so great way, not like these. Okay, so we're just going to get a little of everything here. And what else do I want? I probably want some of this. And I can always dip into my bead box if I need something else. What's this? Okay. All right, good to go. Okay. All right. So I'll just set this up here. Kevin, I don't know, maybe you want to get me to...
We'll guide you there to...
All right, to get it so that it...
Yeah, let's go overhead. And are you punched in, Bryce, or no?
No, I can punch in. No, we're punching in.
We'll punch in?
Right.
Okay. Let's punch out, and I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in, and then I'm going to refocus a bit. So I'll zoom in right about here. Look at that, Marla. Check out your monitor.
Oh, nice.
So you want to go up a little higher?
I'll try.
And then
how's that?
Does that look good? You want to get a little closer?
I think that looks pretty good.
Okay.
I'll try not to lean in.
Yeah. Do you want to maybe move the whole operation over a little bit? So.
Oh, good.
There we go.
I need the water closer.
Let's just move it over here.
I have a big bucket of water.
Right, so you have a good spot for the reference photo?
Let's put the reference up there.
And let me do this really quick. I'm going to
Kind of covering her photo, but
do a focus.
It doesn't matter. They're the same.
Do a quick focus here. That's pretty good.
All right. Are you good to go?
Okay, what do you think?
I think so.
All right.
Whatever. Did anybody have any donuts? I don't think so. You guys are donut shy. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is start out with a little drawing. And this is the same proportion as my photo reference, or just about. Actually not quite. This is a little more narrow, isn't it? So, but I am going to look at how much space these shapes are taking up. And I'm just going to come in with a little pencil and just play. And where do I want this donut? I want it to come up pretty far. So come up. And it's got this kind of crazy loopy frosting on it. And I'm just putting a couple things on to just sort of orient myself right now. I just want to get a few things on so I can kind of get a feel for it. Get a feel for some negative shapes, so on. This is like this. It doesn't have to be super precise, but I'm just more looking at the how much space it's occupying is my main concern. And then this one, it takes up a lot. It doesn't feel like it would, but it does. And then this one with the little sprinkles, it's got half of it's got sprinkles. It's kind of fun. And then I'm just looking at the shape, and then this shape, this kind of pink one over here. And then back in here, there's a little tiny bit of space. And then this one, I'm just kind of feeling it. This photo is a little narrower, so I think the whole donut back here is in the shot. There's another one that's got sprinkles right here.
And Marla, could you talk a little bit about the brands of acrylics that you prefer?
You know, okay, so I've gotten a lot of questions about that, and particularly about not just brands, but mixing and matching the different viscosities. The thing that's cool about acrylics is that you can mix and match all of that. You don't have to, you can use heavy-bodied with medium-bodied, even with the fluid acrylics. It's okay. You just have to add the right amount of water or the right amount of paint. In terms of brands, you know, I don't really have a favorite. I kind of bounce around based on price. You know, what's a good price. So, you know, Liquitex and Golden are obviously the ones that are most known and probably the best ones. I have a couple of jars of Matisse, which is, they have some colors that are really, really, really beautiful. They're kind of on the pricey side. You know, what I think, if you can afford it, what I would kind of avoid is the student grade, like I think it's Dick Blick Studio. You know, the different brands have, like an artist grade and a studio grade. The thing about the studio grade paints is they do have less pigmenting power. And so therefore, you want, so they're going to be a little cheaper, but they're going to have less pigmenting power. So what's the difference? You might as well just go get the better paint. It's going to, probably serve you a little better. Okay, so now I've got a little bit of drawing here, and now I'm going to just start now. So I'm going to start with some, what I would say, thinner layers and build up to some thicker layers. So I'm going to start with thinking about the pastry part, what color that would be. And so I'm just going to mix up. I'm going to get this water bucket out of the way because it's kind of making a shadow. Does that work?
That's fine.
Okay. It's maybe, I also like this buff white a lot because it keeps the paint from the color from being quite as chalky. I'm going to use that word chalky. Just if you use white as your universal lightening, it can be kind of not so great. And so I want to be at this point, I want to give myself a good start. So I want to be accurate, but I also, there's a part of me that wants to move a little fast to get it sort of rolling and in a sense blocked in as quickly as I can so I can kind of see all the value relationships as quickly as possible. So there is that. And that's how I approach no matter what it is, no matter what media and no matter what the subject is. Because I want to build the thing as a whole, not like a puzzle. You want to see the breadth of the piece quickly. So I'm getting in here, make a few little value adjustments as I go along. So this application of the paint is pretty thin right now. I'm going to go ahead and get this area. It's going to be a little darker. I could approach this a little bit more of an alla prima, but what I think is kind of fun is to get a kind of a thin layer going just to get going and then get thicker.
So on your palette, the top right paint, that is burnt sienna, correct?
That's burnt sienna.
Okay.
Yeah. So some of the nuances I'm skipping around, like there's some darks, but I'm not really going for that quite yet.
And when the acrylics dry, how does that affect the color?
They're going to darken just slightly when they dry, and that's a good point, and that's something to keep in mind. Definitely. I'm going to adjust my drawing a little bit here. I feel like it comes up a little bit more. Very fun subject to paint. And already we got a little. This is fun. There's also something I recognize as we've been working on lessons, we're just wrapping up the production of monthly pastel painting lessons online, and all of those are obviously pastels, and I'm standing for the most part. And there's something just kind of relaxing to me about doing tabletop stuff, small stuff that just, there's something really nice about it. Just to sit and paint. Also went out and did a little plein air sketching the other day, and was sitting in the grass, and boy, was that nice. All right, so now let's get some of that chocolate. Okay, what is that chocolate? What is that color right there? Let's take a look. If we isolate that, this right here, what is it? It's sort of purple, at least the shiny part. It's kind of a grayed purple, so let's go for that. I think that is fun to do. Okay, so it's some dioxazine purple. It's darker than that. Let's get a little burnt umber in there.
So can you talk a little bit about the differences in white paint, like zinc white, titanium white, buff white?
Yeah, so buff white's, you know, it's a little, it's got a little color to it. So a lot of the whites differ in their transparency. I think zinc is a little bit more, at least in terms of oils, it's a little more transparent. You know, I think a lot of it has to do with that. And then, of course, then there's flake white, which is in oils. It's something you probably don't want to use. Okay, so I'm going to just get some of these in. Oop. What happened?
Oh, looks like it turned itself off for some reason. We had that happen last week.
All right. What is that? We have a new lens on overhead.
That's a new technical difficulty. So.
Yeah. They don't go away.
They don't go away.
No matter how much you plan, no matter what you do.
So someone mentioned here, too much water will break the polymer down and the paint will not stick long term. So that's about over maybe.
Yeah. So
too much water,
or. So. Yeah, I've done some reading on that, and I think that is, you know, definitely a consideration. So when you're thinking about, to me, there's a difference between a glaze and a wash would be adding, you know, quite a lot of water, and using the paint in a similar fashion to watercolor. All right, so here's my thing on that. And, you know, I've been painting in acrylic since, you know, for 30 years, since my illustration days. And, you know, I'm not really concerned about my paintings going in a museum. I think that they're going to, the polymer is going to stay for a long time. That's just my opinion. I have, in terms of archival properties, I have that same kind of orientation towards pastels. And like people say to me a lot, oh, the new pastels, they aren't light fast, don't use those. But I use them. So, you know. Okay, yeah. I need to put my hair up, I guess. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and put my hair up, and then I'm going to... Am I getting in the way? Okay. Let's get some of those darks in now. So, ooh, that looks good. It's a little thicker now. Ooh, I could get even a little darker. And then I'm going to come along that edge with something. There's a little bit of red on that edge that I see. And so I'm going to come along. That's not right. Maybe, yeah, more like that. Lighten it up just a little. That's super fun. And then out here, same thing. Now, do I have this light enough? Now that I've got this dark in, I'm looking at, maybe not. So, you know, that's the thing about working a painting as more of a whole. There's a little cool little line there, is that, and rather than finishing one little section, I want to establish all the relationships as fast as I can, so I have a better idea. I might need some black, or want some black anyway. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Right there. Now I'm getting a little thicker, probably a little thicker than I want. But I'm getting a little antsy, and that has to do with both because I'm doing this in front of you guys. We'll get this. We'll get those highlights in after, over the top. That's another thing that's great about pastel, about acrylic, is that you can work both opaque and transparent. Effective both ways. This is got a little more red to it. Okay. It's a nice warm day here, so the paint dries quickly. Okay, so I'm going to get this a little bit lighter because I think it is a little lighter. So I'm going to come in. It's really fun. It's also a little bluer in some spots. See that little shift over here, back here especially, it gets a little cooler back there. Yeah, see, it's a little bit lighter. Get some of these little dents. Super fun. Okay, so now we want to come back, kind of another layer. I want this to be even darker down here. Right here. You need to adjust some of these shapes a little bit, but pretty good. and I want to get behind the donut. Now I'm gonna mix up. I am gonna kind of finish this little section just because of we're doing the live stream. I probably wouldn't necessarily do this highlight right now, but because we're live, I'm going to, just so you can see kind of where I'm headed. Let's see. Fingers are good. But it's just a matter of getting that paint the right viscosity. And adjust these shapes. Again, you can come back over. Let's get this kind of little cast shadow down here. That's fun.
So here's a question. Do you normally let your layers dry first, or do you do a lot of wet into wet?
I go back and forth between, so depending on what it is, what it is that I'm working on.
Sometimes you use a hairdryer to help you along.
Yeah, I do. So get this a little bit under here. There's a little cast shadow, slight cast shadow from the frosting. I want to get this. There's this little bit of a I'm going to play with this edge a little bit. I'm going to come right over. Kind of glaze it. Maybe not quite that green. It's kind of okay, let's finish up that highlight because it's not exactly what I'm looking for. But I want that blue in there. So what's the shape of these? These so interesting. And soften that up a little bit. It's starting to do some things. I want to get it to look a little flatter. I'm going to move on to another donut. In just a minute. Saw something I wanted to do. You doing okay, guys?
Nope.
What?
Looking good.
All right. I'm just getting a little bit of playing with these edges. All right, now should probably work on one of the donuts that's got a little more color on it. But one thing I also want to do is right in here, just getting that where these two kind of come together.
So you're just using water for a medium today, right?
Yeah, I'm not using any blending medium. You could.
You want to talk about a few of those mediums, like things that you like?
There's so many. There's so many. I think I did bring out a blending medium. This was slow dry blending medium. This kind of helps. It kind of, it kind of makes things flow a little bit more. But for me, I always going to err on. See, it just makes it move a little bit more. But I'm always erring on the side of simplicity for painting. And just kind of, it's always been my thing. But it's really up to you guys. See, it just makes it move just a little bit, but it's pretty. I wouldn't say that it's super dramatic.
Did you take this photo or no?
I did not take this photo, but I did take some photos this morning that were almost as good. And they went by, donuts is not something I would necessarily buy too much. So, getting the blending the edges is really a matter of getting the different values. Mixing value strings is going to be the key to, blending, so that you can get all the variations that you need and get it down pretty quick. And also, of course, keeping the paint, moist.
And we have a request for you to do this in Pastel.
Oh.
To do a comparison.
Oh, yeah. It would be fun. Yeah, I've been wanting to do some of that kind of thing. Well, we did peppermints for the monthly.
And you entered that one into a contest,
yeah,
right?
I did. I entered that into a show. It's in the Red Rock Pastel Society show right now. You can go online to their website and see it there.
And there's an option to like it, right?
Oh, yes, there is an option to like it.
Should do that.
Yeah, it's got a lot of likes. It's just really fun. It's very sweet.
So it's the Red Rock Pastel Society website?
Yeah.
And if you just probably Googled Marla Bagetta Red Rock Pastel.
Yeah, I don't know whether that would do it, but
what's the latest?
It's their show. It's their online show.
Online show.
Yeah, and it's cool. Okay, so now we're getting getting to some more layers, which is great. So we can play a little bit more the colors and edges and whatnot. Now that we've got a little bit more paint on here, and starts to, you know, do a few things. It doesn't really look like much until we get it in relationship to other. It's just one of those kind of compositions that kind of need to pull it all together. But I think it's headed in the right direction. This feels like I want it to be a little softer, a little cooler also than I've got it, but I'll come back to that. Okay, so now let's get a little, there's a little cast shadow right here between these two guys. There's a little more color on this right here. It's a little warmer, redder, oranger. Right in there.
So just a really quick technical question. If someone had trouble getting on the live stream, the super stream yesterday, it's available on the website with the same link and all that?
Yeah, it is.
So just give it a try again.
Yeah. It should be, yeah, you just try the link. It should be, you should be able to access it.
And you'll be able to watch, of course, watch the
Yeah,
stream in the future.
the super stream is I think we also load it onto the website. So it's available as long as you're a subscriber. You have to be a subscriber to the monthly to get it. Okay. All right, we're getting somewhere. Let's get some dark under here. And I haven't switched to a smaller brush yet. You know, that might be something I would want to do at some point. And this is a number 3 rosemary, long flat. Yeah, there's just something about just sitting here, sitting down. Maybe after all these years of standing, painting, it just kind of feels really relaxing to sit down. So this is a little bit more color than is maybe indicated here, but I like that. I like to put down a little bit more, pump it up a little bit more, because number 1, it's going to dry just a little bit darker. And number 2, you know, exaggerating the color, oftentimes it winds up being just about right when you think you've exaggerated it, but in actuality you haven't. So that's kind of my experience.
Do you have any, I mean, this is a preference question, but do you have any tips on selecting brushes? This person doesn't know if I should be getting long handles or short ones.
I like the long handles. Of course, if you're planning on doing lots of fine rendering, you know, the short, you know, like the little tiny brushes, they're going to be a short handle. Like these are going to be a short handle. I mean, you can find the long handle ones. But I like the long ones because to me they're just more versatile. You can use them on big paintings and then more, not just big paintings, but more in a gestural manner. So you're out here like this with it, and you can also use them more like I'm using this today. So I just think they're a little more versatile. Also, brushes are one of those things that you really want to. If you've got some money to spend, that's where to spend it. Paint, you can kind of get away with some even off brands, and you can mix it and all that. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, the pigmenting strength and all that. But the brushes, you're going to use up the paint. The brushes you hope to have for a long time if you take really good care of them. And I try to. And acrylic kind of forces you to do that because, boy, if you don't, you're gonna wind up with they're just gonna be hard as a rock. So you're kind of it's kind of good that way. You gotta clean your brushes. You find out really quick if you don't what will happen. So now I'm just coming across some of these edges, softening them up. Making some little adjustments.
And the brush you're using right now, is that a synthetic brush?
Yeah, I like the synthetics. This is well, this one is called, it's a rosemary ivory. I think it might be a blend. There's there's so many different kinds of brushes out there. The synthetic ones are good because they're really tough. They're really tough. So I'm going to let this spot dry a little bit. Oops, and come back to it. Oops, that's not right. That's too yellow. And a little oranger. And then I can come in and kind of glaze back over this if I want. It's a little more yellow. There's a little. That's not exactly what I wanted, but I'll leave it there. We're getting there. I want this to be a little darker in here. Now the fun part's going to be getting the donut with the sparkles on it, right? Because that's going to really have that fun look to it. So maybe we should do that, and then probably not going to finish the rest, but kind of get the idea. I'll finish this one though, because I'm enjoying doing it. It's fun. All right. So let's get this guy going. This one. And at least get some of those sparkles happening so that kind of see how it's going to pull all together. And what I'm planning is I'm going to get these sparkles, at least over here where you can see a little bit more of the chocolate popping through. So I'm going to put the sparkles on top. Now, see, that's something with pastel. You kind of, you got to be really careful with pastel of, putting product over product, because it starts to look really thick and overworked. With acrylic, it's almost the opposite. It's almost like you want to pile on the paint. And the more paint, the better, to me, with acrylics. It's like, get it on there. So you have that opportunity to paint nice and thick. Which I kind of love. Maybe that's my own reaction to of always having to be careful with the pastels, to not do that. No. Now, so today, this is a lot more kind of careful, rendered approach, less alla prima. But I really wanted to show you guys the blending and just kind of getting in there and getting a little bit more detail.
So you'll finish this on your own, and then we'll show it maybe another time.
Yeah.
Another.
We will.
Another live stream.
I'll probably finish it this weekend. I have a little bit of time. I'm also working on. Well, I showed last time the peacock and finishing the peacock, and I did start some more peacock paintings in the studio, and I started a 48 by 48, and two 48 by 24s, and one, I think it's like 30 by 30. So I started all of those. They're in the other studio, and so that's pretty exciting. And so all those little thumbnails that I had done, some of you may have seen, they're all in the works as paintings, which, boy, I just love it. It's gonna take a little bit of energy, but I think it's gonna be worth it. Okay, get this a little darker under here. Got this kind of cool area here that's see it's darker here. Something like that. I always say that, something like that. I always say that. You guys that take the lessons probably know that I say that all the time. Oh, funny. Okay, and then it gets really dark over here.
And did you ever finish that wave painting that you did?
No, I haven't finished it yet. I will. And I know I was going to finish that on a live stream, and I didn't. It's hard to get it all. I get a little overambitious sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna leave that. It's not quite there. I think I need a couple little dark spots, and I'm not quite getting those. Okay, but that's okay. So now, what I want to do, and this is a good example. I'm going to take this off and start again on the palette so that I can get these nice bright clear colors and I have room to mix, because right now I don't really have a spot to mix. So that's a matter of really gingerly taking this up. Oops, I lost that little section. I can get it. I'll get it. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put that right there. Now I'm going to take that. That goes in the trash. Boom. And now I need another piece. Cut it down. Smush it down. See how wet that is? It's really wet. And this little paper towel things hold this down, keep it from curling up, which is one of the main issues with these Stay Wet palettes. How do you get the little thing in the middle to keep from curling up? Well, that's how. All right. Now, yay! Now I got plenty of spots. I'm going to mix up. Thank you, Kevin. And I'm going to go ahead and mix up a couple different things. Really nice bright lemon yellow. I need a little shadow side for those guys because these little sprinkles are little cylinders, so they have a shadow side. So you gotta get that. And then same thing. I got some pink ones, so the little dark side and a light side. For the little pink ones, there's some green ones. Oh, I brought my phthalo green out. I knew I had that out for a reason. I could mix a green, but this phthalo green is such a great color. I just love the phthalos, and that'll work just great. For the green sprinkles, look at that, right out the gate. It's nice. And then a dark side. And I still need blue. A blue one. And that phthalo blue is going to work really great, I think. Okay. And a little shadow side. There. Cool. Now the other thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need that chocolate, the dark chocolate color as well for in between. So I'll go ahead and mix up some of that too. Up in here.
And are you using heavy body acrylic paint?
It's a mixture. There's some heavy body. There's some medium body. It's heavy and medium body. There's all different. There are different brands and different viscosities in there, but you just can adjust. So that's one of the great things. They all work together. Okay, I'm gonna just leave that right there. All right, now we get to put those little guys on here. I'm gonna just start. To me, it's just so amusing. This brush isn't the greatest. Let's see.
And try not to lean in too much with that one.
I know, I forget how much my head. And as we go over here, it just gets to be this big jumble, right? And so I'm not trying to paint, exactly, but I'm just trying to get the kind of character. Some of those little sprinkles, the little cylinders, we see the whole cylinder like that, and some they're like heading right towards us in perspective. So even in these little shapes, there's perspective, which is really nuts and fun to think about. These little overlapping shapes. Shadow side, seeing the end. So I'll get a bunch of the pink ones in. Seeing just the ends of some. This donut's fun because it's got half of it's got the sprinkles and half of it doesn't. And remember that those little sprinkles are on the donut, and they're kind of turning with the donut.
And the brush you're using is a little round brush?
It's a little round. It's a number 2 Winsor University Series 233. So then we get this little perspective thing here, as we're seeing less of them, seeing more of them. Seeing the ends. This one's in shadow, so I'm going to make it a little darker. It's actually a little warmer, but it's being influenced by the pink of this donut, but I'm going to just get it in there for right now.
Quick question. Is there a reason why you put the sprinkles first and why not put the dark background?
I'm going to just knit it around it because I didn't have it. I mean, not really. I could have. The thing that's really cool about acrylics that I really love is you could do it either way. It could have been done either way. this section right here feels like there's just more sprinkles than chocolate, so maybe that's, you know, part of what influenced me there. Now, so as I'm working on this, so these sprinkles have a little, not only do they have a shadow side and a light side, but they also are casting shadows on one another, little teeny, because they're, you know, they're these little forms in, which is really kind of fun. So it does, seeing just the ends of some, like that. Okay. So I'm going to get all the different colors in there, and then I'm going to put some chocolate around them. I think that's the way I'm going to go. Oh, I'm going to get some. Yep. That camera just wants to go off.
Yeah.
Yeah, just. Oh, going a little.
Back in action.
Cool. We'll just get a little bit more of this done, and then we'll finish this guy up later. I want to get a few more of these sprinkles in, get the idea of some are in shadow and some are in light, which I haven't really addressed quite yet, but I will. Okay, let's get some blue ones and then some yellow ones. I'm going to go at it a little quicker.
And remember, try not to lean too much.
Yeah.
I know you got to get the detail, but
yeah.
There you go. That's good.
Is it?
Oh, that's not bad.
Okay. These ones want to have a light side. Kind of like that, something like that. A lot of sprinkles. This kind of detail, it's kind of fun to do. It's just so relaxing just to sit and paint, and really can't think of anything I'd rather be doing, so it takes a little more time. Okay, so this.
It's really coming together. It's pretty impressive.
Is it?
I really like this one, yeah.
Good. We need a little shadow for these.
So on hot, drier days, will you spritz your paint?
Yeah. It's warm here, but it's not that warm. Last year we did an acrylic workshop. We filmed out here, and boy, remember, Kevin?
It was hot, yeah.
Ooh.
That's when we had to set up the air conditioner.
Yeah, we had to put the air conditioner on for ourselves and also the paint. Otherwise, there's no way we would have been able to, to do it.
And we might have to bust out the air conditioner again.
Yeah, we probably will. We probably will. Right. Okay. Okay, I'm going to just do a couple more things that I feel like are going to pull it together a little bit more even. And the one thing I want to do is I want to get this a little darker. And then that center part is dark, and I've got it light. It needs to go this right here. And then you can see some of those popping up. I know I'm not supposed to lean in. Okay, now what could be really fun, things I want to change the shape of this right there. And I'm going to get some of the chocolate around a couple of these spots. Just a couple of these guys.
I just had a piece of that donut.
You did?
I did. I turned my mic off so they couldn't hear me. It wasn't bad. It was the chocolate
It wasn't bad?
one. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Couldn't resist?
Couldn't resist.
They're sitting there. We can smell them.
I'm looking at them the whole time.
Oh boy. I don't know. I might be able to resist.
So
Okay.
you could have put because it's acrylic paint, you could paint on top of other paint, right?
Yeah, I could have.
So
I could have done it either way.
So the question is, could you have put the dark in first and then the sprinkles on top?
Yes.
But this way it does make the colors pop a little bit more in some ways, and you don't have to wait for the bottom layer to dry.
Right, and because I just felt like especially right there, it's really dense with those sprinkles that I felt like I would be okay doing it the way I did. However, it's kind of, I also think about if I don't get the paint quite thick enough, that the underneath layer can sometimes influence the value and the paint, and so I didn't want that. But honestly, with acrylic, you can get the paint thick enough, so it's okay.
Oh, don't lean in too much.
I'm trying.
I know.
I'm trying. It's so the way I'm painting for you guys, so I don't lean in, and it's so not comfortable. Because I'd be like this. I don't see very well either, so.
We'll do a nice zoom in at the end so people get a good look at it.
Yeah, a lot of the, when we're doing a live stream or we're videotaping, it's so counter to the way one would normally paint. It's just not, it's not natural. Which honestly does have, you know, some influence on the outcome of the work.
Yeah, if you angle a little to your left, that can be helpful too, if it helps. No. Oh, yeah. That. Just kind of bob your head to the left a little bit.
So these little cylinders all have, and then they have like a, you know, then there's the idea that they all have sort of a cast shadow. You could go on and on and on, you know, and fiddle around with it. But, you know, one thing I like about having done this is that you can see that it's just, you know, at first it doesn't look like much. When you're first getting those first layers of paint on, you got to have that patience and you got to wait for it a little bit. And that doesn't matter what media you're painting in. I think it's kind of all the same in that regard. Until you get the whole thing, you know, kind of coming together. I always talk about that yuck stage. Definitely got to kind of fight through that yuck stage. And yeah, and this one had it. I mean, we're just like, ugh, is it really gonna work? And then you can start doing the kind of nuance, little color shifts, little value shifts, little, you know, it's more fun. It's not fun when it's when you're in that yuck stage. It doesn't feel fun. Like, oh, am I gonna make it? One thing I want to do right here, which I think is neat, is to get some of these to pop up over the edge here, like that. This is starting to look a little bit too much like a pattern, but I can swing back around to that. And then yep, that's not the right value. I got to get a little bit darker right in there. Kind of working these edges a little bit. So edges and shapes, and you know, I want to in acrylic. You know, one of the powers of oils is that you know, it is easier to blend and get those kind of lost and found edges. And just, you know, a little bit of practice with the acrylic, you can get, you know, a similar look. I'm not going to say it's exactly looks like oil, because I don't think it does, but it's close. And you can do, with a little practice, the Acrylic Adventures workshop really has some pretty specific exercises so that you can learn how to do it, how to get the edges. And edges are so important in painting. Just want to get now the last thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to call it a day on this, is I want to get this little highlight going a little bit more. Okay.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
Since this is taking more time, do you charge more for the painting?
No. I charge by the square inch. I have a metric for different media. So acrylics different pricing than pastel and so on. But I don't necessarily because it takes more time. Because to me, it's not the time that a painting takes. It's the a lot of people, I used to do art festivals all the time, and customers would often, very, very frequently ask me, how long did that take? Because they're equating the price with the time that an individual piece of artwork took to make. And to me, it's not really that. It's the how much you invested in this, learning the skill to be able to do it in whatever time you could do it. And that's more an honest view of it to me. Like a doctor doesn't charge, based on, you pay the same thing whether you. All right, let's just get a couple little fun things in here and call it a day today. Little highlights on these are highlights on these guys, which is so fun. And I haven't quite finished the chocolate in between and whatnot, but getting there. It's pretty good. Definitely has the feel of it for sure. We know what this is. We know what's going on here. This isn't quite the right value. This needs to be darker. This needs to be lighter. I need to get this edge in here. This edge is a little closer. I like the proximity of this edge here, so I'm probably going to change that shape and bring that down because I just kind of like that. I also kind of like one thing that would be nice to change. I like in the photo that I just want to change that contour a little bit. And right here, right there, it's not quite right. I would love it if that was a little redder, and right here. So I'll play with those little kind of more nuanced ideas about what the shapes are doing. That'll be come into the finish line there. Okay. anyway, it was super fun. It'll be neat when it gets all done, and yeah. So anyway, you guys go check out the website paintinglessonswithmarla.com, and there's acrylic adventures in acrylic is on sale just until Sunday, late Sunday night, and so it's the best price right now. And after that, we'll have other stuff going on, and we're really excited about what's ahead for the summer. Okay, thanks for joining in, and I hope this was helpful to you guys. Okay, all right, bye-bye.